Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy.
Ty's got a mic.
When did you get graduated up to the mic, Ty?
Well, I did bring my own for a while.
Oh.
So they only had 3.
Bringing my own.
Yeah, they only had 3.
Y'all aren't going to give me a mic. I'm going to give you one.
And then they got one because I was contributing so well. They're like,
you are.
we want to make sure there's a mainstay.
He provides a lot of value.
Yeah.
Value add for
This
sure.
is my laptop. This
He
is
answered
my
the
camera.
door when I got here.
I answered the door.
Yeah, I was up here fiddling around with something.
She was just standing in there, and
Did
I
you
had
have to justify why he answered the door?
Yeah.
He looked right at Deck. It's because I was up here.
Hey, Tech. I apologize, dude. I couldn't answer the door. I was fiddling.
Look, I told you guys I was going to be late. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, next time, I need you here, man.
I know.
Last time you weren't here, Famous Dave rolled in and he said, I don't do stairs.
Stop. You guys, did you actually interview Famous Dave?
Dude, yeah, we had Famous
Do you know,
Dave.
I totally worked for Famous Dave's.
Did you really? Like
Nice.
at Famous Dave's?
At Famous Dave's?
At a Famous
Maple
Dave's.
Grove.
Wow. How was that?
Yeah, how's the food?
So, like, you know how when you're in high school, you either, like, work retail forever or restaurants forever?
Yeah.
I was the latter. So Famous Dave's was just, like, in the rotation of one of the restaurants that I worked at. To answer your question, the food was amazing. Like, my first day, we toured the whole thing, and they were like, you can bring your own, like, meats in here and smoke them in the smoker. Like, I could,
Really?
Yeah, I could bring my own. I was like, first of all, like, crazy safety, like, food safety
Protocol.
Thank you. There's the word.
Is that it? I don't know if that's the word.
Food safety hazard.
Hazard, yeah.
And, like, second of all, I'm, like, friggin' 20. I don't know. I wouldn't know the first thing about smoking meats.
Right.
And keeping it cleanly and all that jazz.
Where are you from, by the way?
From here. From,
Well, yeah.
I grew up in Elk River.
Where's that?
Just north of the cities.
North of the
Or
city.
Okay,
west.
we're trying to dominate our sandbox, and that means we need to know
not.
geography.
So that's where I grew up, like, graduated from Elk River.
Okay.
And then now we just moved to St. Paul. West Side.
That's right.
Not to be confused with West St. Paul. It's a thing.
Okay, okay, so what's St. Thomas? I know it's West St. Paul, but, like, is that considered West St. Paul, or is that...
Is St. Thomas West St. Paul?
It's
I
very
don't know.
west of St. Paul.
Okay, yeah. So here's the thing with St. Paul. The west isn't actually the west. It's actually east of downtown.
Oh, no.
It's like
St. Paul's a bunch of liars or what?
they say something about, like, people were drunk when they were doing the maps. There's, like, some cute joke about it. I don't know it right now.
That's not very cute if they're drunk.
So are you on the other side of St. Croix River?
Yeah, so we're on the other side of the river from the XL.
Okay.
That's like the west side. So that little
Which is
north little nook, and then down south of that is West St. Paul.
Oh.
So west side is a really cute little community, which is where
Yeah.
we moved.
West side.
Okay, so what's it like moving into a new house?
So this was our seventh move in 7 years.
Wow.
Ooh, you don't like staying in homes.
Which I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Interesting.
So
You
the
don't have
first, like, 6 were just Tim and I, and now we have 2 kids. So
All right.
we've moved twice. No, this is our first time moving. The first time we moved, or our last move, I was pregnant. So it's the first time we moved with 2 kids. It's been good, but yeesh. I'm going to stay here for 10 years or, like... And every time you say you move, every time you're like, I'm never doing this again by myself without hiring it out. And then every time you're like, oh, shit, I moved next week. And I didn't hire anyone.
Because you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Because you really can.
At the end of the day, you can do it
It's
yourself.
like 4 crappy hours that pretty much my husband does everything. So
So how old were you when you had your first kid? And, like, were you moving at that point as well?
Okay, yeah. So I'm now 27. Timber is 3.5.
I love that name.
Timber.
Timber.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Tymber.
Spelled like a millennial.
How did you get that name?
I don't know. We like weird nature names and weird nature stuff. I was 100% positive I was having a girl both times. And our name was going to be Maple for a girl because we're like
That's a
maple
treat.
syrup people. Like Tim's family does maple syrup. And we came up with Timber as a guy name.
I love
name.
that.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I love that name. That is a great name.
He will love you. Like, I'm sure at some point for some event, he'll be there and you'll meet him and he's gonna just...
What event are we throwing where we have young kids showing up, though, to be honest? Like,
It'll happen. Don't worry.
yeah. We'll make it happen.
Well, we'll still be around when he's of age to attend these, and we're not going anywhere.
Yo, can you imagine what Backpocket is gonna be by the time Timber's like 18?
Yeah, we're like Pauly D. And
Yeah, they're like, dude, these guys got canceled like when they were like when he was like 12, like 7 years ago. Oh my god, these guys.
You know, Timber's for sure one day gonna listen to this. Like, if I had
Yes.
a podcast when my
Yes.
mom was, when I was 3 and my mom was on a podcast, do you know how hard I would look to freaking find that? Like, I would absolutely listen to it.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's like one thing that I feel like all of us collectively are, living in, but are not necessarily, probably not even thinking of or going to realize what the complications of are.
Sure.
Where it's like your kids will be able to Google Molly Hale and be able to find everything about their mom from the time they had them as a 27-year-old to probably the time you were 18. I don't know.
Mhm.
However long you've had Facebook, blah 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 for. Like and especially with like Andrew and I, and as having a podcast where we're consistently putting out 3 episodes a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't really care how it's going to go,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of excited for how they perceive me as a 20-year-old. Like, what do you think about that?
I just think all the time, I think especially like in the last couple weeks, that's been like top of mind, is like, I'm going to do a bunch of more weird content of just me doing weird stuff, because I would love to see my great grandma. I wish I could look back on that, on those times. Like, and to think about like the only thing holding us back from doing that content is like our own self-image.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see my grandma like do her makeup in the morning when she was 27. I would love to see that. So I'm like, I'm going to do it now just for you, Maple.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like that content is you. Like, you're not trying to be someone to show this false facade. And that's the same thing that we go about it, like, and why we care about it so much and why we want to put it out there is because we're just showing our true selves to everyone, and the people that want to be a part of it will follow, will subscribe, will reach out and say, hey, I love what you're doing. And the people that don't want to be a part of it might have some negative comments, but in reality, they're just going to come and go really quick.
And I feel like, don't you guys feel like you find who you truly are even better when you know that you're just more like, forward like client facing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just more intentional about your words. You're more intentional about your actions. Like, as a podcast host that you have to be growing your mind, or you're going to be like a crappy podcast host. Or like for me, like crappy podcast guest, if I'm not like being intentional about what I'm putting in my brain, like even just the week prior or whatever. So I think there are so many benefits like that. There are little nuances of just personal growth that, because whether or not we wanted to like admit it or not, we are definitely still trying to put out some kind of facade. Like, we all have a layer of like trying to impress others, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing all the time. Obviously it can be toxic, but so I guess to answer your question, like what I think about this whole age of there's a shit ton of content on us now, I think there's going to be a lot of benefits for people that think of it like that.
Yeah, and we were talking to the Brodsky brothers about all the content that they capture and how they're trying to save it in a way and tag it with like words that they know how to find it quickly, because for content creators, we have just bottomless amount of content. It's so hard to go and archive it and figure out where the stuff is because there's just so much of it.
Totally. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I think a lot about like logistics of just how things work and whatever. And D-Rock, I like love D-Rock, Gary V's guy. And so he often will say like, hey, ask me a question, whatever. And he doesn't get a ton of reaction, especially his Twitter is like a ghost town sometimes. Anyway, and that's one of the questions I asked him was like, how do you guys organize your content? Because I feel like they'll put together a reel, like a highlight reel talking about friggin' whatever, and all of a sudden they have just boom, a bunch of content, which obviously that's just what it looks like because I see them seeing the final product. But I'm curious how they organize it. Like, literally, somebody's doing it. How do you guys do it?
We have OneDrive, and there's like so many layers to each folder that are consistent for each episode. So when we click on it, you can get into the Instagram stories that we put out for that week by clicking through these certain folders.
So could
every
you
single
search?
time.
Could you search like Big Bird, and then like a bunch of people that like mentioned Big Bird would come up? Like, I feel like Gary V's stuff has that capability somehow.
Yeah, the word transcripts would be something that would be huge. If we had someone transcribing these podcasts, that would be night and day. We don't have that.
I mean, we come close in the sense of I show note every single one of these podcasts, so I will go back and listen to every single podcast we record and every good.
Hey, Declan.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm listening to this right now, probably a week from now. And what's up, Declan? But like,
looking good.
The idea of it is when I listen to it, I will write down the crucial moments, the different things that happen, and now I'm getting in the routine of tagging certain things that I see that are recurring. So if you were to talk about, I don't know what it would be, but you would talk about a certain topic, I would put that in like a parentheses or something like that. And then when I can control F it, then I can find all the different times where different people are talking about, like, let's say, do what you love, right? Like Backpocket likes to talk about or have conversations with people that do what they love.
Yep.
And it could be all kinds of different things, which is great. So that's just like a small example of like I could organize our content in that way.
Sure, yeah.
I guess. And so it's not necessarily that we've chopped that content out originally, but if we were to, we could and had the time, we could definitely do that.
Cool. I feel like transcribing would be a wise decision.
Yeah, I was listening to
that's as close as that we get. But
yeah.
if we were to have it fully like word for word, oh my gosh, it would be the best thing in the world.
Well, now they have such good like AI stuff that I actually just found a really good transcriber. And it's like a guy that works at WeWork who's just like, I don't know what the hell this guy does. He introduced himself to me as like a professional creep. But then
What does that mean?
It means he like was apparently creeping on my stuff.
Who doesn't though?
I mean,
I'm just saying like who when you go on someone's profile, like you're scrolling through the first
met yet, and he was like, is your name Molly? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
How did you know that? He's like, I'm a professional creep.
Oh, that.
And then I became so uncomfortable that I like literally couldn't stop talking.
Oh, he said those words.
So he said those words.
Oh,
that's a professional creep.
Several times. Anyway,
it's on his resume.
Come to find out, this guy coded this amazing transcriptor thing, and I've been using it this week. It's fantastic. It's called ytranslator.com.
Okay.
And so this is what's cool about it. I'm totally giving him a plug, even though he like is a creep.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but kind of a creep. But he's a nice guy. I just think he just didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, you put the video in, and then it goes through the transcription, but it bolds the word that it's on. So it's really easy to edit rather than having to like read through it. It goes through it at the same time that it's playing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can quickly edit it, which I have not seen. And you can get 30 minutes free when you go on there, which is what I've been using for like those mini content things.
30 minutes, and then... So if we were to do like 31 minute bites, then the 31st one, we'd start having to pay?
Yeah, I don't know how much you have to pay after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
There's so many transcribers that we've been utilizing that we are just like trying to find the best one. So we'll definitely
it's a good one.
Tune in. Yeah.
Is he a Twin City guy?
Yeah, he's at the Uptown WeWork.
Okay. Yes.
She's going to be our plug to get inside of WeWork.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
Because we need to.
He's probably watching this, you guys. He's a professional creep.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, he's in it. Right?
Should we plug his name?
His name's Eric.
Eric, the creep.
Eric, the creep.
Please let this not be my one clip that goes on Instagram.
Are you worried about that?
You get 3.
Yeah, you get 3. What clips do you want?
I don't know. We'll just see how it goes.
Okay.
Just getting warmed up.
So you've obviously picked up on how we like chop up the content.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Man. So how long have you been? I just want to do a little bit of market research real quick because you have been a dedicated marketing intern, like so much to the point where you were a full investor in Bochella.
I was a full investor. Yeah, I totally was. Mm-hmm. Well, that's just because of you guys.
You were the face of Bochella, dude.
I was the face of Bochella?
Oh yeah. Well, by the time you got there, oh my God, you were all over the cameras. You had the squirt guns and everything. It was just like
that's because
priceless.
I knew the camera guy.
Yeah,
it's Bo.
Yeah,
oh, that's
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I was the face of Bochella.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, thank you for coming and thank you for supporting us for so long and just being like a dedicated follower and everything you've been for Backpocket. That means the world to us.
I love it. I love like you guys are just crushing it. Like you're consistent. You're doing great stuff. You like have heavy hitters on here. It's amazing.
We're having a lot of fun, but we know you have some notes about how we can improve.
Yeah, which is
And
what we're all about.
And we're always looking for.
He's like, when can I bring this up?
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready to feed into the line of improvements because, we're a couple of wildly average guys just going through this way, trying to figure it out. Ebbs and flows, strikes and gutters, a trial and error process. So, Molly, what is the back pocket lacking right now, and how can we get better?
I think so. In the last year, I don't know. I mean, I should say I don't know why. Like, one trend that I've been paying attention to a lot is just diversity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I work a lot in the influencer marketing space. And when I say that, I mean, like, I'm the one a lot of times picking influencers to go to events, picking them to, like, represent a brand. Like, for my client, if I'm usually the one representing my client. And then I'm like, hey, do you want this free thing? Or do you want $500 to do this? Whatever. And I noticed that it was, like, mostly skinny white women all the time. all the time. Like, if you didn't think about it and you just looked for influencers, you got skinny white women, period. And so then I started just being just little by little more intentional about diversity, a little more intentional about inclusion. And so I say all that to say, I think you guys could work on your diversity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see some more color on here. Love to pass the mic as a skinny white woman.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. We got challenged by Duncan Dahl this season to do the same, and I think we've been all right at it. I think we're below average. I don't think we're at that average quality yet, but we're trying, to say the least.
Absolutely. And it's not that we don't try to get those people on. It's just a lot of it is just like the people we try and get on are what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
And they'll, like, let's just say there's 5 people in front of us. I will always choose the person that I am most curious in.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if they're white, black, brown, yellow. I don't care who they are. I just care about how curious I am in that person, because at the end of the day, a great podcast, great entertainment, a great learning moment, maybe a great story is the person that has that story that, like, I see and I notice, but it's not like I haven't unpacked it quite yet.
Yeah.
And, if it is the skinny white woman, I'm sorry. Maybe that's what it is, but it's good. It's, and like Andrew said, it only takes one person to, like, just let you know, hey, get more diversity.
Representation matters. Yeah. I think it really just starts with that. Like, it literally just starts with, like, being conscious of it. Like, hey, our last 10 guests were white. Like, maybe it's not that we're not curious about them. Maybe it's, like, a deep down, like, something deeper than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I think, people of any community, like, we're attracted to people that look like us, like, in general. We can't deny that. At WeWork a couple months ago, this was, like, something that really impacted me on this topic. There's this organization called Marnita's Table, and actually they office out at WeWork as well, and it's basically they provide meals around the discussion of diversity and inclusion. And this amazing, like, 60-year-old black woman, like, leads it, and she just crushes it. She's amazing, pardon me. And one of the questions, so it's really interactive. So it was like they had this huge meal and everybody ate, like, lunch, and it was just sort of like whoever was at WeWork in the common space. So there's a lot of people there. I mean, there's probably like 50 or 60 people involved. And she had us all stand up and ask us a bunch of questions, and then sort of use the floor as, like, a sliding scale. So, like, if you completely agree with this, go over here, but then, like, if you don't, go over there. And one of the questions was, in your friend group, how many of you, like, your friend group looks exactly like you, and how many of you, your friend group is, like, very diverse? And every single person who said that their friend group was very diverse and didn't look like them were people of color. And everybody else, like, the whole white clan was on the other side. And so her point was, she as a black woman was saying, we don't have a choice. We have to seek out people that look like us. You guys just end up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is obviously, like, a location thing and whatever. But it really hit me, and I thought that was a really good point, because it was something that I just hadn't thought about.
Yeah, especially here in Minnesota. You're right. The location thing of the Twin Cities, and Declan and I coming from St. Thomas, heavy white population. And that's like the main source of the beginning of our podcast, was just funneling through alumni at St. Thomas, students at St. Thomas, professors at St. Thomas. And I think there was a little bit of diversity. Not as much as there could have been, right? We could have tried and made it a cleaner effort at having that portfolio of just all over the spectrum. But really, we were just utilizing what Declan was saying was right in front of us, not putting a lot of thought into that aspect of making sure we're getting all these walks of life, all these different perspectives, because sometimes you go down that rabbit hole of guest after guest, and they all have that same type of mantra because we're only talking to the same type of people. So I love that you bring that up, and I love that you're challenging us that way, and I am looking forward to how we respond.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I actually I'm like really deep into this, you guys. I actually enrolled into an anti-racism course that starts at the end of the month. It's like a 10-week online course for white women to like explore this and to do the work. And another really good point that the instructor brought up is she's like, you don't have people of color don't get the luxury, don't have the privilege of deciding when to do the work about racism. Like, they just have to live it. They just literally live in it. But we, as privileged white people, we it's literally a choice. Like, okay, I'm going to engage in this type of heart work. And so I was thrilled to support that. And
with
I'm
you
excited
working
to start
at WeWork, have you found a lot of diversity in WeWorks? I've never stepped foot in a WeWork. I know Decky's mom works on one in Denver, but you got some Dutch friends. Correct.
That's about it.
That's about it.
My mom works for a Dutch company known as Here.com. She's like the number one sales
shout out
woman. Yeah, and they are awesome. Like, they are like this Dutch startup, and it is like the thrill of my life being able to talk to those people just in the hustle of trying to provide hearing aids to baby boomers who need them. And like, they have like this really cool market of like, they have hustlers that go out and find the clientele to produce the hearing aids, and then they have the salesmen that put them in touch with the people who need them. And that's just one company within the thousands, I'm sure, that are within WeWork, and it's a really interesting dynamic that WeWork provides for, I mean, really anybody willing to pay.
They're amazing. Like, I've been so blown away with the amenity. Like, it's just been so great. Like, I can't work from home, period. I just don't work. 2 kids. Also, just like headspace wise,
yeah.
I need to get out of my house. And so I will answer your question. WeWork's been great though. Okay, so diversity there. I will say that one, so it was like a lunch and learn with this organization. That actually really helped me get out of my box, because when I first joined, and I actually still kind of have this mantra, I'm like, I don't want to make friends with anybody here. Like, I'm too friendly everywhere else I go. I make friends at the grocery store. I don't want to know anybody here, because I want to be able to wear the same pair of pants every day and nobody notices because they don't know who I am. Like, I just don't want to have to say hi to 5 people every day when I get into work, which is so not like me. I'm like such an extrovert, such a like friendly, like social butterfly, but I just want to get my work done when I'm there. And so I can't say that I have like befriended a bunch of people, like a couple people that I like actually work for WeWork that I know that just work at the front desk, but I've intentionally not befriended a lot of people at WeWork.
To keep your head straight and on work. Yeah.
So I really want to unpack like what it is you're doing right now. Like, I want to start there with, you show up to WeWork to talk with your clients, and you've mentioned all this stuff. What exactly is that? What are you working on? What's going on?
Totally. So I am a full-time Instagram strategist. So
whoa.
Yep, I like literally work on Instagram all day long, and also Facebook ads. So those are like my basically 2 services. I guess if you were to say 3, the third one would be influencer marketing, but it all kind of like marries together. So my clients range anywhere from like monthly coaching clients, and those I provide like regular hashtag research for, and like regular ideas, regular story strategy, things like that, all the way up to like I am literally like writing the copy, coming up with like the ideas for imagery and things like that, and posting for them. And then for some clients, I'm even doing like the engagement and community management. So it really just depends on like what the client is. I do not have a niche. Like, my niche is Instagram.
Yeah.
which I sort of love. I love, like, I'll just be making an Instagram post about, like, one of my clients, like a PTSD service dog account.
Whoa.
So I'll just be like doing random things like that, and I'm like, doo-doo-doo, I'm self-employed. Doo-doo-doo, I make more than that guy over there who hates his job. Like,
Super cool.
it's funny. So it's really, really a mixed bag of clients, all surrounded just in the digital space.
2-part question here. First one, what got you into this, and why did you find this fun to become an expert in? And what was that first client that where you were like, all right, I like doing this even more than I thought. Let's keep doing this.
Totally, yeah. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a very short amount of time. After I had my first son, Timber, and I was like, I need a creative outlet. Like, I'm just too, like, high-strung for this. I can't be home 24/7, like, at all. I'm like, I just need, like, one day a week. At the time, my mom was coming and watching my son once a week. And so I was like, well, I can just, like, dip out that day, do a little work, whatever. So I just started, like, thinking about what I wanted to do. And literally within a month, had somebody reach out to me. And they were like, hey, like, I found your page from, like, a hashtag, and I like how you run your Instagram. I'm not even kidding. It was, like, this random. I like how you run your Instagram, and I was going to see if you could help me with my boutique. It was an online children's boutique. And so I was like, sure. And within, like, 3 weeks, I was absolutely, like, I was Googling, like, how to be an like, Instagram marketer, how to, like, social media marketing, how can I, like, monetize this even more. So that first client paid me actually $1,000 a month, which when I was hoping for, like, you know, if I could make like $400 extra a month, then I could get a gym membership and, like, have some fun money for the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh crap, like, I can actually make this into, like, a pretty profitable situation. Like, obviously that's not a ton of money, but I mean, it was, like, a significant enough to pique my interest in the industry. So then I joined, like, an online course. You know, there's, like, online courses for everything now. And ended up just quickly, I mean, it was like I reached out to, like, a bakery in my neighborhood, and they're like, yeah, sure. And then they were my client. And then I, like, reached out. It was just, then it was referrals just from, like, the Instagram space, especially in the mom community, like the motherhood. There's a lot of, like, mommy Insta shops.
Really?
Like, a lot. It's crazy. And those influencers get paid the most too. So it's kind of a whole another, like, sect of Instagram.
Yeah. Well, you got mad at me when I called you like a mom and
Like,
mom Instagram influencer. Is that,
I'm just
like,
saying, like, I don't know that I would, like, I don't know that's my title.
really?
I guess, like, yeah, I'm a mom on Instagram, but I'm not, like, a mommy Instagrammer.
No. I wouldn't say you're not, like, giving tips on, like, how to be a good mom, but, like, you definitely are, like, obviously a mom on Instagram. Like, it's very cool. I love following that. You're the only mom that's, like, very active on Instagram.
In your world, yeah.
In my world, like,
That's funny.
in the, like, the 800 people that I follow.
See, I'm glad that my content is broad enough to pique your interest, and also because most of my followers are certainly moms.
Yes.
So that's good to know.
Yeah. That's super cool. That like, that's a whole market, though. That's super
Yeah, so
interesting.
So then basically I ended up just with a few just, like, different mommy accounts, some referrals that way. It was really, like, it was mainly money driven, like, to be completely honest. I was like, yeah, I want a creative outlet, but, like, if it's not gonna make me money, I don't freaking care.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because I'm the person who has, like, a new hobby every 6 months.
Okay.
And so this kind of quickly became my hobby. But now that I'm into it, it's been, like, a year and a half since, like, that first client. Literally, it's been so short. Like, not very much time at all. I'm just into, like, the mastery of it. Like, I want to know all of, like, the depth of it. And now that I'm so far deep into just, like, the Instagram world, obviously all those skills, like, translate to other platforms. And so it's been fun.
Interesting. What has been kind of what was, like, a eye-opening experience or a client maybe that you worked with that was like, wow, the power of Instagram is much more than I thought it was?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Okay, so one of my current clients is a fitness app, and it's actually, like, Weight Watchers, like, one of their biggest competitors. So it's, like, it's a big client.
You're kind of a big deal.
No, they are.
Okay, but you're a big deal by association.
I mean, I'm proud to, like, say, anyway, whatever.
You can brag. Come on, you gotta
Come on,
brag.
you can brag.
gotta
It doesn't. It's
On
not
this
about me at
podcast, you
all.
can absolutely brag.
Anyway,
Big competitor.
when I first started with them, they had like 2,500 followers. It was just like a ghost town. Nobody knew about them. It was terrible. They're about to hit 10K. It's been like 6 months. All organic. But the really, really cool thing has been seeing, because everybody on Instagram is like, I just want to start a community. Like, it's all about community. It's just all about people.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's us. We run a community and we have a lot of people involved in it.
But you guys do actually have a community. Like, it is real. But most people just say that, and they really just want more engagement.
Not many people listen. I mean, we like to say there's a community. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
in it.
Yeah.
I'm totally in it.
Thousands of people are listening.
I'm
think.
a card-carrying member of the Backpocket Podcast.
I love it.
We should get some like black cards.
Membership cards.
Yeah.
I don't know if
You
need
put it
to
on the
call
table and like you win something every single time at a bar or something.
Like, I saw your guys' sticker at Surly.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Dude, that was sick.
Did you put that there?
I was gonna ask you.
No, I
I
didn't
don't
do
know.
that.
I don't know who put that there.
Stop it.
But I was super
Amazing.
cool. I was.
Ty,
super
was that
stoked.
you?
No, it's not me.
Oh yeah, you just turned 21.
Yeah, Ty's not even old enough to go there, dude.
He was up there getting cannolis.
Yeah.
That's super cool though.
No, we interrupted you. The aha moment with the Weight
Oh,
Watcher
yeah. So
competitor.
it's been real, because this is like, people are like literally losing a ton of weight and like changing their life. I mean, I don't know the relationship with food. Hopefully it's like actually healthy. There's like that whole side of it too. But to see people like, hey, I found you on Instagram and now I've lost 20 pounds. I'm like, oh, like that happened because I used a specific hashtag and a specific strategy
Yeah.
to like literally change your like potentially like the rest of this person's life.
Mm-hmm.
You're like literally making an impact.
Yeah, and so then from that, part of my responsibility with this client is to find ambassadors and influencers and whatever. And so we've even put some of them on retainers, and that's changed their life. Like an extra couple $100 a month, like, is significant.
Oh yeah.
And so that has definitely been like an aha moment,
Mm.
and seeing that like catch fire, that community sprouting up from like literally just my work has been really rewarding.
Mm-hmm. We are so invested in like the same things that you are with like right hashtags, just because you can take over one that someone that has like 100,000 or 10,000 like followers to it, and just take it over, and you can see a spike in your reach organically. It's crazy. We attached all of our stuff to vegan cats, and now
Oh yeah.
that's like a top 5 hashtag of ours that people find the Backpocket through vegan cats. Vegan cats
It's
aren't.
not a strategy I recommend.
Oh come on!
What do you mean it's not a strategy? Here's the strategy: is Joe Rogan came out with a Netflix special back in like April, May, and had a joke about. He's like, "Have you ever looked at like hashtag vegan cats? It's so funny."
Okay. That
And
makes
that-
sense then.
Mm.
And then we did that, and so we did hashtag vegan cats. We posted
You guys,
like
that's such a good idea.
I
Yeah.
know. That was one example. We did hashtag the unfollowing, which is a Crystalia hashtag that we got behind. And that one did really well. We had a couple like YouTube subscribers.
So
From
how are
that.
you tracking all of that?
Sprout does it for us.
Yeah.
Sure, I
Sprout.
love Sprout.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So user friendly.
Yes.
And they just like tell you like, hey, these are the most engaging hashtags. So when you consistently change your hashtags, they tell you which ones are the best for performing, and then you basically like funnel it down to like your best 10, and then try and find new ones as you post throughout the week.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll have to geek out on hashtags when we have it.
Yeah, we got to start our own. We've never done that. We tried to do something, and I don't think we were ever consistent
I
with
mean, we have hashtag the Backpocket
Oh, yeah.
podcast. We have,
Obviously.
I just started hashtag dominate the sandbox, but other than that, I mean, we don't really have much.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just use hashtags people are already using.
Oh, are you avid like analysis on the shadow banning of accounts?
Did you forget? We just found out what that was.
Okay, I don't read into any of that. I think it takes up way too much space on the internet, way too much space in our heads. I'm like, calm down, everybody. Just don't use hashtags for a week.
Mm.
Check it out. If you're still shadow banned. So that's the funny thing is because Instagram never has said that it's a real thing. Do you know this? It's like
No.
literally like folklore on the internet.
Mm.
What?
Yeah, so Okay, for your audience, shadow banning is when you can no longer be tracked through hashtags. So if I were to put on a post right now, Backpocket Podcast, and you were to click that hashtag, my photo would not come up in the feed. There's a couple reasons. Number one would be because you're multiply using the same hashtags over and over again, and Instagram thinks you are a bot, and they no longer show you in those feeds. Second one is you are using a banned hashtag. There's a long list of banned hashtags, including hashtag desk. Hashtag Valentine's Day is banned.
Hashtag Puppy Dog Mondays is banned.
For good reason. I mean, can't be having puppies on Mondays.
Hashtag Hustle. Hashtag Hump Day.
Hashtag Eggplant. I don't know why.
Oh my God. Hashtag
Can I get
Eggplant.
a
So
friggin'
obvious.
salad?
No way, dude. But it's crazy. I thought Instagram did come out with a
list?
They did come out with a list, but they also came out with like a statement on shadow banning.
The statement was like, it's not a thing. That
Really?
was like literally like them.
Ty, can you look this up? Because I was literally looking this up like yesterday.
We believe we were shadow
We
banned.
got shadow banned.
Because
Because you're using the same hashtag over and
oh
over.
no, we had an
No.
app that we were using to help us with.
Guess who told you about this?
You,
Declan.
you did.
Do you remember? No, I didn't tell you about the app. What did I say when you told me you were using the app?
You said watch out because this could be a problem.
This
for
is
you.
coming full circle, and I love it.
Dude, you didn't tell me that.
Well, I didn't
I
realize
said
until
all
now.
I
You
said
knucklehead.
because I
You
was so
destroyed us.
careful. It was at Lincoln Drink, the first one I went to.
Yeah.
You want to talk about camera time at that Lincoln Drink? I was like the highlight reel.
You were crushing it. That was like
was
Lincoln
funny.
Drink 003 or something like that.
Yeah, that was great. Anyway, so I just remember being so careful when I told you that because I hate sounding like I'm trying to sell myself
Yeah.
because it's just stupid. So I wasn't trying to be like, "Oh, don't do that. Like, listen to me. All I was saying was like, just watch it. Just watch it. I want to talk to you in 3 months. I literally said those words.
Yeah.
Like,
It's been 3 months.
Let's chat about it. And here we are.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we have you on the podcast. I don't know. We found out about it because, like,
Do you want to tell your audience what you were doing? That
Yeah,
was so
oh.
naughty.
No, it's not naughty
It's
at
not
all.
naughty.
It's
You're a
it's
podcast.
very savvy.
It's fine.
It's very savvy. I mean, we were, and we still are. Like every time we post an episode, and like we'll do this with Molly Hale. Is we post the episode with Molly Hale. We will go to your profile and go to the last 3 photos that you posted or videos or whatever they are. The last 3 pieces of content you posted, and then we'll go through and follow every single person that liked or engaged with your content.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that, like, people will follow us, and then over time we'll go back through and unfollow the people that didn't follow us back.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is when they see us, say, hey, the Backpocket followed us, they'll click on our profile, see, hey, here's an interview with Molly Hale. Here's
That's the key right there. When we hit
Exactly.
the follow button, we come up on their profile saying, hey, this person followed you. They click on our profile, and then our bio says Molly Hale in it. So
Right.
they immediately are like, oh, they just
I
had
know
on-
Molly.
Yeah, we're not looking for them to click on us to hit the follow button. That's our easiest route to grow podcast listens is because there's a link tree underneath it and says, click this if you want to listen to Molly's podcast. It's so simple
I
to
think
get.
for you guys, I would say, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
We
Like
still
for
do
every
it.
other client, I'm like, do not do follow and follow. It's stupid. Because it's a whole thing. It's literally called follow and follow, like the strategy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been a lot of influencers that have gotten a lot of crap because they're like, 100,000 followers doing follow and follow. And like, it's like your, idol that follows you. And then 3 days later, they unfollow you. You find out it was a bot. So it's like people like genuinely hurt
Yeah.
because it's like a personal brand.
Well, it's not
You're
even
a
a bot though.
podcast.
That's the thing is like we're
Declan
literally
laying in
it's
bed.
just like me doing it on like
But
the
you said you used
toilet.
an app.
To show
No.
us who's not following us
Who's
back.
not following
Yeah,
us
yeah,
back.
yeah.
So
I
that
don't
just
like
made
that
it
route.
easier for us to
And that's what shadow
Unfollow.
banned us.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, it just
uh,
flagged in the system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flags
Tyler,
us.
it looked
Their
like you were
system's
about to
been-
jump in here.
I was just saying, like, you must have been doing it for, like, my followers for a while because, dude, like, for a week, no, there's definitely a time because for, like, a week, I got, like, infinite amount of messages from people, like, who are these guys? And they would send it to me, like, who are these guys that just followed me? And I had to explain every single time what the Backpocket was. It's smart. I think it's smart. I think it's savvy. I didn't even know you guys did that. As an employee of the corp, I didn't even know they did that. But I think it's really smart.
It's literally been our like biggest growth model on Instagram because of the
It's
fact
weird. Yeah.
that it's so targeted.
Well, it's a more nuanced way of like follow and follow has been a thing forever, and it's just a more nuanced way of
Yeah,
doing that.
And,
exactly.
Yeah, what I love is our percentage of followers to engagement never falters. It always maintains like the same number 3 weeks later after we do these things. So like the people will stick around, or they'll just unfollow us and then move on to the next one. They got their Molly Hale podcast. They don't need anything else. We move on. That's their choice. But if they want to stick around, sweet. We just got another person to enjoy
You guys
what
just hit
Backpocket's putting
4K.
out. Yeah,
Exactly.
Way to go.
thanks.
I know we just hit 4K, and it's
I
not.
saw it.
And
No,
it's
I saw it and I was like,
you're so
that's why I
excited
went to
about it.
Coachella.
Up and to the right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I love like that savviness, but at the same time, like more macro perspectively, I look at you as someone who is making like a lot of money and providing for their family off of a platform such as Instagram, which is like so crazy to me that like that is like I like to look at it at a perspective as like Timber or one of your kids, and like, you know, when I was their age, like my mom was a radio show host, my mom was doing all these different things, my dad's an engineer. Like Timber's mom right now is a marketer on Instagram, and like that is so cool to me that that's a thing. Like that is an industry that has been created off of like a social media app, and then even bigger, this social media industry that is just like growing at an insane rate, and like you've been able to capitalize. So congratulations to you. But like, where are we going? Where do you see this industry going? How do you see it growing? What are the kind of things that you see yourself fitting into?
Yeah. So when I think about the future, I think a lot about influencer marketing. Like I really think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg on that. Because it is the Wild West out there for influencer marketing. Like there's no formulas, there's no industry standards. It's so weird, you guys. Like when I first started just on Instagram, I was like, let's start doing like collabs with other moms. I don't know, that's what you do, right? And I just started calling like, hey, can I hop on the call, like on the phone with you? And I would just talk to them about like, how does this work? Like, what do brands pay you? Like, what do they, And like the resounding answer was like, yeah, like basically the response was like, nobody knew anything. Nobody knew what was going on. Like sometimes you'd get paid like $1,300 from a brand, and sometimes it would be a trade. It was just, it's still that way for a lot of people. And so we're starting to like, there's starting to be some like third party companies that are like kind of starting to tie it together, like FOR being one of them, FOHR. They have a really great weekly, their CEO like does like a weekly podcast or like a YouTube video. Do you guys follow them at all?
What's FOHR?
FOR. It's like an influencer platform.
Okay.
What does it stand for? Something, or is it like?
That's a great question. No, I don't think so.
Like when you shank a drive off the tee box. Yeah.
I was doing that a couple
Shank
times.
a
So.
drive.
Yeah.
That's a phrase I've never said before.
And here you are.
Here I am on the Backpocket Podcast. Anyways, so that's one that's, I would say, like leading the charge and like getting industry standards out there for like influencer marketing. But because it's still so new, I think there's a lot of growth that's happening. And I think because even though I've only been doing it for a year and a half, that's like more veteran than most of the shop owners that are trying to figure this out. Yeah. So I definitely see myself like leaning into more of the expertise that way, and pairing that up with Facebook ads or just ads in general. So whether that's, and I know you were, with Caleb a little bit on this strategy where you're like, I'm as a brand running an ad through an influencer's their own platform, and then that's their payment is basically impressions. Like, hey, we're going to put, $800 of ad spend in Nashville behind your account. So anyway, partnering those three things together is something I'm really excited about.
Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the coolest things that we have that ability to be a trailblazer in it and figure out what is the right blueprint. I mean, for instance, Backpocket in general, no one has been a podcast and created a brand by just being a podcast. Usually they're a personality bringing it to podcast. They're a brand bringing it to podcast, and they increase their growth through just another medium. We're just making Backpocket something through two guys that are really nothing, and we're just trying to create this community. And then we get to combine that aspect of, now that we have a voice, now we get to figure out a way to how does this make money. And that's a whole nother sphere that we get to play around in and just enjoy, because this is not our way that we make money to pay rent. This is something that we do and what we want it to eventually pay rent, but right now it doesn't. So we can just mess around and continue to see what works. And we're in that same field right now of figuring out how a brand's going to want to utilize what Backpocket is offering, and we get to come up with new models every single day to pitch it to a brand, pitch it to a client, and see if they think that is worthy. And that's something that you get to do every day as well, and I love that we're in this field.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just talking to Caleb last week about this, actually. We were talking about monetizing the podcast, and I was like, I think what you should do is, so you'd kind of come at it through like an influencer. You'd be leveraging the influencer's influence or their platform. But what you do is have it be like a multi-platform collaboration. So say, we'll just use Carly Zucker as an example. Say she was partnering with like White Claw. So she would do a post for them on Instagram with White Claw, and then White Claw would sponsor your podcast episode, and she would talk about White Claw. So it'd be, they would sponsor you and her, but then they would be hitting like her audience at a couple different angles.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
And that's what I think brands would be really on board with, because brands don't have like an audio strategy.
Yeah.
They don't even usually have a strategy at all. Let's be real.
They don't. It's usually try to get like a soundbite on radio, because you get your 60 seconds and you jump on and you get to plug your book. You get to plug a couple shows that you're going out. You get to plug your product. We had Chad Greenway on the podcast, who is the face of Grey Duck. These three guys brought in Chad Greenway because he's got such a presence here in the Midwest. He came in and talked about.
He came in this room.
Sat on this couch. 6'6" Chad Greenway made us feel like tiny little boys.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and we got to shoot the shit with him for an hour and a half.
That's why you guys keep your house so clean.
He looked at it and he's like, "This is a college house."
I mean, it's definitely a college house, but it's a cleaner than average college house.
There we go. Put it on the Yelp review.
Yeah, put it on the Yelp review. That's another thing that always shocks me, is how we get tagged as a college house, and which is, this house is like very well put together. All the college houses that we stayed in are like a dump. So, with that being said,
compared to what we're living in now,
we
think this is like a high estate.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. Yeah. It's nice, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Chad Greenway would be a good example of like someone in that realm, and trying to get more people on such as that are the voices of their product, voices of their brands.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that we have like built a brand enough to be considered influencers? Like, could we go out there and market ourselves similarly, or similarly in a way that other people would with a different brand? Do you think that's like a valid thing that like someone that would want to be a part of us, like, that could get behind?
I would love to see your data. Like, what are your story views at? That'd be like my first question, is like, what's your demographic? What's your average story view? And then like, how much turnover is there? Like, kind of how you mentioned before, you'll get like an influx of new listeners, and then maybe like they'll kind of die. So I feel like that might be hard to track unless you're constantly like targeting the same. Like, I'm not the same demographic as like the gray duck, great goose. What is it?
Gray duck, vaca.
There it is.
Yep.
I was thinking like duck, gray duck. So
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it's all about.
But then I had goose in my head. Anyway.
That's good too. That's
the
part of the
point here is like your demographics might be like ever changing, and so that would be the one thing that a brand might not love. However, you're localized, so then that's more relevant than most people on the internet, because so many people, most influencers that I've worked with don't have a localized influence at all. Like,
they want to go global.
Yeah, like they're just popular, but you look at the top cities and it's like LA, New York. And so, but then they'll do all these partnerships with local brands. And it like kind of makes me sad, because I know that brand isn't getting any ROI. So, but you guys have that edge. So in that sense, like, I do think you provide a lot of value because you have localized influence, assuming that's true.
Yes.
It is true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on the whiteboard. then therefore it's true.
Sandbox.
Our intentions are on the whiteboard, but at the same time, our analytics are as well.
Yes, and the best part is, Molly, you're only a few short blocks away from where I get to work every day out of this place. So I can
work here every day.
every day. So I sometimes go over to Caleb's and we work out of his house. But I can hop on a Lime and bring you some data points, and you can dive in and say, hey, you guys stink, or hey, you guys got something here, and we need that. We need some direction.
You totally have something here. You guys totally do.
Yeah.
We do need that's
We
like
just
our
need-
biggest. It's not our biggest roadblock.
I think someone just needs to tell us what to do, and if we'll do that.
You just need to find like some bar owner that like likes you guys as people and is like, all right,
Yeah, sure.
Just like believes
like
in us.
that's how it starts.
Yeah.
You know, and then they've got a couple of golfing buddies, and then there it is.
And then-
Backpocket Podcast.
Hosting a golf outing.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's a great
Golf
point.
Cella.
Golf
Um,
cello.
You guys, I could totally see you like literally sponsoring like a little league, like little Timber out there. There's like little softball shorts with like the Backpocket Podcast as a sponsor on the back of his tee.
You
Like,
think so?
That's how we dominate the sandbox, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that's a
that's
great
so, like-
idea.
I could just see it.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is. Our
I mean,
logo
okay, it
is like
wouldn't
a
have to be
home
little
plate.
league, but like maybe like a softball. What are the beer leagues?
Yeah, we could
Okay,
do
I probably
something.
didn't. I probably didn't do as well with like the demographic on
No,
that
you
one.
crushed it. It's a home plate.
It's a home plate, and
That's what it is, right?
it's so obvious. A lot of people would get that. I just like don't know. Like my biggest issue with pitching the podcast to people that are like 30 or older, not even 30, older than that, like 48 and older, probably.
Oh, 48. You like 48,
Yeah,
Zach? Is that really
48.
gnawing at you right now, the 48-year-olds?
It's
Itch your eye a little bit more, dude.
Whatever. It's like something like that. But it's just like they're old as shit, and the whole point is
48 is not
Don't
even
alienate these
halfway.
people.
What do you mean, dude?
What are you
Not even
doing, dude?
48 's
halfway.
so old, dude. You're
That's like gonna be like
This is
a
our
golden
downfall
year.
time.
That's
You're
just the
Ed-
Our
money deck.
downfall.
You're
Cut it. Cut this.
so ancient, dude.
That's
You're
just the
so
money.
an- Oh my god.
Zach, relax, dude.
I get it, dude. And they can come on this podcast and they're all about it, but like understand that our demographics like a young demographic. So like a 48-year-old is a very old person compared to that.
You canceled.
Do you have a point to this other than 48-year-olds are old?
Yeah, well, where are we going here?
Yeah, Zach,
I
come
think
on,
your point
dude.
was
You're s-
explaining the podcast to people that are older.
There's a buried entry there.
Okay.
There's just a buried entry.
You know what? I think you're using that as an excuse.
Whoa.
I think she's right.
That they don't know
Mahal,
what a
you're nailing it.
podcast is.
How many 48-year-olds have you talked about this podcast and
A lot.
the value that you could add as a localized brand, and you've had several relevant influencers on. Crickets, my friends, crickets from
I
Becky.
mean, I was talking more towards the people that are of that age that literally don't know what a podcast is. So like, why would I?
Well, you're not giving them enough credit. They know what a podcast is. They get it.
I hope. I really do hope.
They don't like become like non-functioning civilized people after a certain age. Like,
That's not. I guess of the people that I have talked to, and the people that are of
you need
that
to go
age.
pitch like 10 48-year-olds next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do
And
it.
I don't think you could pitch 10 without getting 2 sponsors.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
We need your help, though. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
We need your help.
Clearly, this isn't working with me trying to pitch the 40.
You just
Work
watched.
with
You just
Caleb,
watched
who's, like, the
Decky
smartest
unravel
human
when you asked him 2 questions. Decky loose
being. You
ends.
guys watched
I
New
blew
Girl?
up, dude. I
Yeah.
blew
You
up.
guys watched New Girl?
I
I do.
blew up. I got us canceled from podcasting.
So this like
just
in
now.
our household is like a very common like this like when he does like the
Yeah.
backwards moonwalk.
Scoot out,
and he's
Nick.
like, this
Yeah.
is my nightmare.
Avoiding confrontation.
So like I do that a lot in conversation, really hoping they know the reference.
Mm.
Oh.
They probably don't know the reference.
Hey, I like Nick Miller.
Nick Miller is like my fave.
What is that from, by the way? Like,
New
New
Girl.
Girl.
Oh, New Girl.
He
Yeah.
just, he's
he's
like,
the
this
one
is
of my
my
characters.
nightmare, and then he does this like weird moonwalk out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Deck, you can be better. I think you can be better. But I know who's always better is Ty over here. Ty's got fire questions all day long. would you like to ask some of your fire questions?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. I won't ask them all, but
Okay.
Ask them all, dude.
well,
Just take it over. This is your podcast.
Kai, you have questions? We've never met before. You have questions?
Yeah, I've been listening, so there's like a bug in here. For context, I do some like freelance social media management work, so this has been a wonderful conversation. I have first question. How do you get, so I was looking through your Instagram before this, and you do great with growing followers and all that sort of stuff. What is your general like thought process going in trying to get people to follow brands? Because I think a lot of the time, you know, when people see a brand on Instagram, it's a lot of sell. So how do you grow those followings? We talked about follow being a not great strategy. So what are strategies that you use?
So, first of all, when I work with a brand, my goal is never to grow the following. That is never the goal. It's always to build a community. And then how can we serve the community? So, I have a new client launching next month. It's a huge brand, like a food brand. It's like as big as like a Boom Chicka Pop, like as big as that. And so I literally just asked myself, like, why would I follow them? And I'll think on that for like a week. Why would I follow this brand? And so a lot of times it's like, okay, I would want to see like behind the scenes. I want to see what the products are made of. I want to see like what they, what kind of lifestyle they maybe represent, things like that. And then am I answering your question?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically like how do you grow a following?
Growth is always like an aftermath of
like
just doing is a byproduct of building a community.
Sure. Okay, so what are some then benchmarks that you gauge your success on? Like you talked about when going to influencers, there's not really great industry benchmarks, and like I agree, there's more emerging, but what are benchmarks that you hold yourself to? Are you looking at engagement numbers? Are you looking at discoverability? Like what are you looking at? When
I am looking for an influencer, what am I looking for in their profile?
Like what are you looking for to gauge the success of what you've done for other brands?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm always looking at like how are your actual sales. Mm-hmm. But then again, like social media is not sales. So there's like really two sides to that coin, especially if I'm not in charge of their paid ads. I'm like, I don't want to hear about like your ROI.
So you don't tie like what you do to their sales that sense?
For me, it's like your social presence is the bare minimum. Like you want to see I want to know what your brand would look like without organic social media. It's obviously like my number one thing with clients is like I want them to be profitable.
Right.
And that again is a byproduct.
Yeah.
But my, monthly meetings with my clients don't typically say like, we posted 45 times this month and your sales went up like this.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough sell. Like when Deck talks about like 48-year-olds, and not that you work with people that are older, you probably work with people that are younger, but that's a hard, like, for people that just don't get social media, like, okay, what's the point of me doing this? Like,
I don't battle that at all.
Yeah.
I don't battle that mentality.
You probably work with the right people then.
Yeah.
The only conversation I have is like, I know that I need to do it and I just don't have time. I'm literally taking so much time off their plate because they know they have to do it.
This is a given.
Because really, what's the option? You can hire a marketing director for $50,000 a year, or you can hire me for, let's just pretend the retainer was $2,000 a month. Okay, great. That's half. That's literally half. Mm-hmm. So, okay, benchmarks. Yeah. I look a lot at like how many profile visits per week. That's like, I always am looking at that number all the time. I love to see it around 1,000. What are you guys at?
We're at 1,300.
Yeah, that's great. Like that is where it should be. That's really healthy. I look at that a lot. I look at story views a lot. I look at engagement, obviously.
Yeah.
I look at how many people click the website.
That's where we could be better.
Sure.
We don't send anyone to the website.
I talk about that a lot. That is a big ask. You're literally asking somebody to stop scrolling and go to your profile and click the link. And people throw it out there like link in bio. Like their mouth should be watering at the idea of clicking the link before you even ask them to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the fun part of trying to figure out what the steps are to get the right people to click on it. You can't just blanket everyone and say, hey, click on my stuff. That never works. You have to bring them from a stranger to familiar to accepting to trustworthy, and then they're finally like, oh, I'll mess with these guys. Click on it.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you do call to actions on Instagram? Because you can't link to things directly in the caption like you can on other social media platforms. So are you like a once you feel like you're at that point with your community, it's like a link in bio sort of thing? Or do you trust the people that are going to want to look for whatever you're doing on Instagram, like they're going to be able to find it?
Yeah. It's really hard because all my clients, again, are so different, so it's hard to answer that question.
Yeah.
A couple things that I'll just say right off the bat. I do a lot on my personal page, like message me this word and I'll send you the link. Like DM me the word White Claw and I'll give you my 10% off coupon. That works better than most swipe ups.
Yeah.
Like people are always like freaking out about getting to 10K so they can have swipe up. I'm like, nobody's doing it anymore though, because everybody's linking to everything. So I do that a lot. I'll do link in bio every now and then. That's my number one thing though, is like just DM and I'll send you the link.
Mm-hmm.
Or DM a question and then it'll get there.
Yeah, that is one thing that I would agree on for sure, is like when you say like, oh yeah, we're selling Backpocket hats or whatever, and it's like, hey, DM us if you want one, and we'll get like 7 or 8 DMs, and it's like, hey, I want one. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
just Venmo us for one and we'll send
If
you
you
on your
tell
way
them-
tomorrow.
If you tell them a specific word to say,
Yeah,
you should split test that and see.
just give them like a
Because it's
simple
like
call
when
to
you
action.
know when you're like at a restaurant, you don't know how to pronounce something, but you like want that thing.
And then you hold up the menu and you're like,
It's like you're taking away like the friction of that. Like you're telling them exactly what to say. There's no vulnerability at all.
Yeah.
I like that.
I had another thought on that though. I don't remember. Maybe it'll come back.
It'll come back after we ask our core questions. And we get to start it off with the average quality. I know you got your notepad right here, so we'll see if you need to use it. The average quality question is something you do well at times, and other times not so well. At the end of the day, it's your average quality. So, Molly, what is your average quality?
Okay, you guys. Me and my husband literally got in an argument about this yesterday.
This is a
Yeah,
beautiful
I
thing.
saw that.
Mhm.
That was awesome.
I was laughing so hard. So I'm like, okay, no, we're not going to talk about the Enneagram, but I'm an Enneagram 3, which is the achiever. And like one of the things that they say about my type is like we see all weaknesses as strengths. So I'm like, it's, it'll be like you're you're a workaholic. And I'm like, frick yeah, I am. Like, better get some work done around here. Like, so for me, like this question was so funny because I have that mentality of like I'm constantly reframing things in my mind to be positive about myself, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Is there something-
in my mind, these are what I wrote down. Average quality, DJing a party,
Whoa.
bags, like playing bags.
Mhm.
Cornhole.
Okay, or cornhole.
I call it bags. Mhm.
There it is.
Bags,
There
yeah.
it is. I also wrote down though, a judgment of character. Like I'd say I'm like hit or miss on that.
Okay.
Because you're like you're over willing to trust someone, or is it more just like you just don't get
Usually
these
I'm like too harsh in my mind, and because the second you get to know anybody, they're way better than you ever knew. So I remind myself that a lot. Like whenever I want to judge somebody, I'm like, they're way better when I get to know them. So much better.
Damn, that's a lot. I think that's a flip for a lot of people. I think a lot of people feel the way of like, when I start to get to know someone, I now realize who they are and I'm out type of thing. They initially are like very opening, like, oh, I'll welcome them. This is fun. I don't know you yet, but you seem like a good person. And then you move through the stages of getting to know them and you're like,
Don't you think though that's because you're like halfway through? Like, so you start to get to know them and then you hit the roadblock because you're seeing like maybe their weaknesses and whatever. But then if you keep pushing with empathy, then you find why they're that way. And then you love them even more because you hear their story. Because everybody has a reason why they suck.
mm-hmm. That's a good point.
That is a really good point.
So it's really just like a lack of willingness to
Continue
be
forward.
vulnerable. Yeah,
Ooh.
on all of our parts.
Yeah. Wow.
That is interesting. I always try and give the benefit of the doubt originally.
Mm-hmm.
So like I am a openly like trusting person, and if you break that trust, then then we got problems, right? But otherwise, like I am willing to give you that chance right away, as everyone should.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of attack it as the same and as Andrew in the sense of just like show me your weakness more so than just like in your sense show me your strength.
So I think I go back to this a lot. Like we judge ourselves by our motives, but we judge others by their actions. Like we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt, like because we know our intentions on things. But then everybody else were like, oh, they did that thing. They could be the exact same thing that we did. So I try to come back to that a lot. Like, I don't know their intention there. I don't know their motive there. I don't know what they've gone through. They're probably having a really crappy day, you know? So it's not that I don't trust people. Like, I would say I'm all very willing to trust people, like too willing. But I get judgy sometimes in my own head.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better at that.
Yeah, that's real. That's realistic for everyone. I think that's just a common thing that we're all trying to fight every day. And I love that you bring that up.
How do you evaluate someone, or not even evaluate, but just like, you know, understand someone when you've never met them and it's like some sort of like client that like hits you up for the first time on social media? Because that, to me, that is something that's like totally foreign than when you're meeting someone in person for the first time.
Yeah, totally. I am a big fan of, like, the second we get on the discovery call, I'm like, tell me your story. Like, why did you want to start this business? Why did you want to even do anything? Yeah. I get a lot of people that are like, they want to be an influencer. And so those conversations are kind of hard for me, because I'm like, I feel like they're going to say they just want to make money, which I'm like, okay, that, like, how do I help you add value to your community if your literal goal is to make money from them? Like, that's just not going to work. So those conversations are harder, but with, like, you know, business owners that like have a product and are coming to me and like they actually like have a budget to work with me, those conversations typically go better because they're a little bit more established and they have a story to tell.
Right. What do you think, I mean, as working as an influencer, or working with influencers, sorry, our podcast and like the Backpocket, what we've been trying to do this past year with season 3 is like understanding and attacking this word influencer. Like, a lot of people look at influencer as this like negative term, as like this thing that like people are just like, they're trying to sell me something, like you were just saying. How do you define the word influencer?
I mean, because I'm always representing the brand, I try not to get too romantic about it. Like, an influencer is somebody who has an audience of people that trust them, that can sell stuff, period. Like, let's not be cute about it. This is about making money, typically. Again, because that's where I'm coming from, literally as a brand. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I would say, like, if people that hate influencers, and there's like all this, I think Twitter especially like goes really hard on influencers. Like,
Twitter's ruthless in general.
Twitter hates Instagram influencers, and it makes me laugh so hard. I love Twitter so much. But here's the thing, like, okay, the money's gonna go somewhere. Like, that marketing budget has to be spent, or is going to be spent, and it's either gonna go to Facebook ads or it's gonna go to influencers. And I would so much rather pay a mom that like this now gives her the opportunity to stay at home and pay her phone bill than Mark Zuckerberg. Like, that money is going somewhere. So if she can build up a genuine, authentic audience and can actually like move product, like, which would you rather hear from as a consumer? I would so much rather see my friends promoting products than see more ads in my feed.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think that's something that you carry around in your back pocket for sure. Is there something else that you hold in your back pocket when pressure's becoming stress and you're ready to overcome the situation where anxiety is rising? What is in your back pocket, Molly?
I'm just like, everything has always worked out for me forever. I just have to remind myself that it's always worked out every single time, like better than I ever wanted. I don't know how I got here. Like, I feel I truly am like living a dream life, and I have to remind myself that.
You definitely are. When we see the pictures of you at Bochella, and we're like, oh, dude, that's Molly Hale. Like, that's kind of the coolest thing ever.
Tim and I literally looked at each other like 8 times during Bochella, and we're like, we're parents. What are we doing?
I do want to touch on that. Like, I feel like you guys, I mean, because you said you were 20, you're like 29.
27.
27, sorry. Young.
Yeah.
Very young.
Yeah.
And that's very kind of countercultural for millennials. Being a young parent, how do you view that? I mean, how, like, I know people are probably like, oh, wow, these guys are super young to have 2 kids and be in this hustle game, but like, what is it like to be a young parent? How is that?
It's so great. So I'm like pretty sure we're done having kids now too, which
Really?
is great.
What's the other kid's name, by the way?
Titus. Yeah, I
Titus
knew
and
you were kind of reaching for it
Timber,
earlier.
dude.
I was gonna-
Oh my god.
yeah, Tidy Man. Tidy Man is like, I'm obsessed with him. I would literally just
So am I.
dunk him in my
Titus?
coffee and eat him up. He's so freaking cute. Okay, anyway, so being a young parent is so great. And honestly, we also are so freaking blessed to have our family close. Tim's sister lives with us. She's our live-in nanny, which is like ideal. Like any mom watching this right now is like, screw you, must be nice, because it's so wonderful to have an extra adult in the house to like, hey, I gotta freaking go to the grocery store and I don't want to pack up 2 kids because there's 4 feet of snow outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those little moments of sanity are really amazing. So anyway, I will say though, it's just been a lot of like giving myself grace over and over and over again as a mom, especially like working on, constantly on my phone, on Instagram, on whatever, like not letting that mom guilt creep in ever. I just don't let it come in. Gary Vee has been really helpful with that too. I don't have his same parenting strategies. Like I'm definitely not going to be like the one, like my kids get like 45 minutes of screen time a day. Like, and it started when they were 2 and they had none before then. Like, so not quite as like tech savvy maybe as he is with his kids, but I do love how he's like, just freaking, this is, don't feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm. And definitely, like, I have no idea what it's like to be a parent, but when technology is going to be presented as a parent, I'm going to try my best to figure out why they're so invested in it. So not just be like, no, we're going to take that away and like limit them or whatever it is. I am going to try my hardest to feel why they're on this so that they are now looking at it in different lights, not just because it's easy. That's like what you always see when you're out to dinner and you just see parents having lunch or having dinner and the kid is on their phone. Probably that situation more times than not is because the child is now quiet and they can just enjoy the meal. If I can do my best to figure out why the kid wants to be on the phone, I think that's really going to hopefully push it forward. And I don't know. It's so hard, right? Because there's no blueprint, and that's what we're in every day now with the social media aspect. So you got to try your best, and I like the aspect that you're going at, the way that you're going after it.
Yeah, we're big on like just actual connection, like actually developing their brains before like a 2D thing. Okay, there's this book. This is a weird memory that just came up. And it was called Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs or something like that. Like
I might have missed this one. Was this a New York Times bestseller?
It probably was, which is like totally, do you know like the whole thing about the New York Times bestseller book list?
I have no idea.
You like basically like have to be, it's like a lobbyist thing. Like you have to be friends with the right people to be on it. Like even if you sell the right amount of books, you like.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway.
So anyone could be a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a old boys club.
Whoa.
I'm reading Cheryl Stray, Into the Wild, or just Wild. She's a New York Times bestseller. St. Thomas, she transferred, but she went to St. Thomas for a little bit.
With the book with Reese Witherspoon?
It's her book, yeah.
So my brother-in-law hiked the PCT.
Nice.
Really?
I have an uncle that hiked the PCT as well.
Nice, yeah.
Mhm.
He actually just moved here, just got married 2 weeks ago. It's kind of crazy.
Maybe we should have him on.
You totally should.
Ooh, this is a perfect time for us to ask, who do you think we should
Hold on,
have
I
on?
didn't talk about the book yet.
My
Hold
bad.
on. I know we're wrapping up. It's hard.
He jumped in, dude.
You guys are like, I don't need more stories.
No, we love stories.
Okay, this
we need
book.
all of the stories.
Here's the like whole thing, and it's like actually ties in really well with this. He was talking about in this book how he asked his nephew or something who was playing with like doll, like, oh, what's your doll's name? Or niece, we'll say that. What's your doll's name? And she was like, oh, Sally. And then, oh, like, where is she from? What does she like to do? And like went into this whole story, like this whole creative story about this doll. And then like a few years later, some other kid was playing like The Sims, and he was like, oh, like, what's your character's name? And the kid was like, James. And he was like, oh, where did he come from? And he was like, he just is there. Like the creativity completely stopped because it was a 2D, like on a screen, like fabricated thing, rather than like all the creativity behind the actual like dull. And so I think about that a lot. Like, how can we encourage creativity in our children, and what is hindering that? So I don't know. Maybe it was two different kids, and the other one would have had the same answer anyway. But I think that's just something to like consider, like the actual tech. What is the word I'm looking
Tangible.
for? Tangible. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that like phones, social media, that kind of stuff hinders the creativity, or are you hesitant about it? What is it exactly?
I'm hesitant at such young ages that it could stop the thought process. Because like, when's the last time you even like finished a thought for 20 minutes without like switching thoughts or Googling it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the main opportunity. Like, we're blessed to have a podcast because we can actually just move through things.
We can talk it through. We can talk it through without like, I mean, we can have Ty look it up for sure, but we can like really unpack some really, really fun stuff.
That's a serious benefit. That's a serious benefit to a podcast, you guys.
It's,
like mental
it's honestly
health
my favorite
wise.
thing. It's honestly my favorite thing.
That makes me want to start a podcast.
Yeah, just the fact that I can put my phone away and just kind of figure things out.
Yeah, like somebody tweeted the other day, like, how come all the best ideas come in the shower or when I'm driving? I'm like, I literally retweeted it and was like, because those are the only 2 times you're not on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Think about the last time you like seriously thought about something for, 10, 15, 20, maybe even more than that minutes. I do it all the time in the sense of like writing a joke. Like, if I create a premise that I think of, off the cuff while I'm in the shower. Is this like a thing you
do? You like write jokes?
He's a comedian.
I write a lot of jokes. Yeah.
When's your next
You
stand-up?
You want to come tonight? Sisyphus.
What's tonight? Thursday. Oh, well, I won't be performing tonight at Sisyphus because it's the funniest person contest.
Oh, that's next Thursday.
So
Friday.
Friday I'll be at Acme.
He's
At
competing in a
10:30
competition.
p.m. Yeah.
Guys.
I'm a full on comedian now.
Okay, I literally might come on Friday.
All right.
He's got free tickets.
I got a couple tickets for you.
You and Tim.
I just got free tickets to the Run Fest last night.
Oh,
hey,
nice.
There you
I
go.
did that on Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. Then we got the state fair coming around. Oh yeah,
we do though.
You're thinking about things for long periods of time. Is that what you want to brag about?
It's not even about bragging about it. It's just like actually spending that kind of time, because
noticing that that's not a common thing for most.
Exactly. It's really not. And when you like, I will find myself like looking at my phone and just out of nowhere, scrolling through Instagram or checking DMs or whatever it is in the midst of actively thinking about a joke, and then I'll come back to it and it's just like it's gone.
Yeah, totally.
Like there are so many distractions in this world now that there are few times where you're bored or you're thinking about other things and you're just like focusing on just that for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't happen.
I've been trying to notice my triggers when I like do end up just scrolling. Like, what did I feel insecure? Did I feel frustrated that I just wanted to like check out? And just like, and not even judging myself for having them and not judging myself for doing it. Just literally noticing, and then we'll address it later. Like, it's okay that I did that. I'm not going to I feel like that's where people go with it. Is like, oh, I'm so bad. I'm constantly on my phone. And they like it just like they enter the shame cycle of like feeling bad about it. And then that's what that triggers them to like continue scrolling. Right.
Yes.
And so I've been trying to just notice and be okay with it. And then that does help me to think through and slow it down.
I agree, because then it like challenges you to like look into what you're scrolling through, which is why you follow, or which is why I would follow like a Gary Vee or someone that has that like spark of just like, hey, wake up, hey, look at it, look at this certain thing differently when you're in those certain situations.
Totally.
You're challenging yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, and Andrew's teaming me up here. I got to ask the question, you have a sweet market of people that we have yet to tap into as a podcast. I would love to know who you think we should have on this podcast next. Who do you challenge us to have?
All right. So I got 2 people. So the first one is my friend Gina Holiday. She is a amazing woman. She's illustrating a children's book right now.
Really?
And she's an illustrator, like, just great. She actually just came out with a whole line of merch. So I don't know how closely you follow me, but I had like a collab with her shirt, and it was like 3 women, like, of
I did
color.
see that. Yes.
And Actually, my phone case is her. This is her illustration.
Oh, nice.
So she's great. She's like a really cool local influencer who I've just met. I met literally at like a Mammal event from Instagram, and we've connected. She's super fun. So she'd be really fun to have on. And also my friend Pete Sieve. So last night he is launching a new magazine called Meal Magazine, and they're based out of Minneapolis.
I followed that whole story yesterday.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It was crazy. There was a lot of cool things going on.
It was the coolest event. I had so much fun. I met so many cool people. Like, it was literally at his house, which is in an old Ukrainian butcher shop.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
In Northeast. And so I met him through, like, one of my clients, like, friend of a friend kind of situation. And we had, like, a discovery call that turned into, like, an hour-long discussion. And he's just, like, a super cool dude. And this magazine, it's like a journalistic approach on food and how it affects us in our life. And they're linking, like, political issues to, like, food. And it's an actual print magazine. It'll be twice a year. It'll be more like a book, like a coffee table book. And it is going to be amazing. So I think he would be an amazing guest.
Yes.
Even though he's a white guy.
Yeah.
Is that bad? That's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's not
Well, we can't like switch into tokenism too, right? Like just like having people of color for the sake of having people of color. Like we have to be genuinely interested in learning their worldview.
Yes. Dude, this
Because-
Pete guy sounds sick though.
I know, you guys
nonetheless.
literally, he's like a really cool dude.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
He was the one on my story.
Yes, we
Yeah.
saw that. Absolutely.
And I also want to make note of Tim. We have to mention Tim here at our.
Sup, Tim?
This is hour 20 or hour 120.
This is hour 20.
Yeah.
Why'd you put sunglasses on when we brought up Tim?
I don't
just
know.
realized that I had sunglasses on my head, and I was like, "These are great."
You're a
I gotta put these
knucklehead.
on.
I just need to mention how whenever I see Tim on your stories, he either looks very lost, or
Yeah,
he's
he
trying to
does.
figure something out. One of the two, and he's like in deep thought, or like he's moving around all too much, or he's just lost. And I absolutely love it whenever Tim makes an appearance. And I've learned that Tim is a big supporter of the Backpocket. After Bocelli, he had a great time.
Yeah.
He was a supporter beforehand, but even more so afterwards. So I just Tim needs to hear from the Backpocket, hey, we appreciate you, and thanks for
We love
supporting
you,
us.
Tim. We love you.
We love you, Tim.
I love you too, Tim.
Have you tried to turn, or not? I don't know if I want to put these words in your mouth. Have you tried to turn Tim into like an Instagram guy?
He's kind of gotten there by himself.
Ooh, he
Little
got the
bit.
bug himself.
He hasn't posted in a while, but when he does, it's really good.
It is.
He
And you, well,
he's also
you-
definitely my Instagram husband. Like
Instagram, for sure.
Like,
And he uses your filters though. I'll be honest, I've noticed.
he totally uses my filters.
He does. For
He literally was
sure.
like, "You need to send me that." Like it was like a whole thing in our household. Like, why don't you send me those filters yet?
Okay, so I want to know, like, why did Tim get in the doghouse when you asked him about your average quality?
Oh yeah. Okay, it's so funny. So I asked him it, and he just went deep right away.
Tim knew.
Yeah, Tim knew. I was like, first thing out of your head, like, come on, first thing. Like, what is it? And he's like, I feel like you're going to be mad at me. Like, you're putting me in a bad position. Like, what do you mean? So Tim is an Enneagram 9, which is a peacemaker. We're like, avoid conflict at all costs. Like,
So am I.
chill, cool as a cucumber is great.
Mm-hmm.
But also when it's like, can we talk about this? So anyway, I was like, babe, it's fine. Like, just say it. And he goes, all right, being present and listening. And I was like,
Oh shit, Tim. Damn.
I actually know I totally own it. I was like, that's super fair. Like, 100%. But then, of course, there's me, like, reframing in my mind. Like, yeah, I got friggin' important stuff to do. Sorry. Like,
Well, it's not in bad quality, right? It's your average quality, because sometimes you're fabulous at it.
Yes,
You're killing it. And other
really
times, you're locked in. You can't listen because I'm doing something.
But then I immediately justified it. I was like, well, that's something everybody's working on.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're right.
Like, oh, whatever.
Now
So it's absolutely something that I could be better at.
Mm.
I accept it. It just took it with empathy. He was a champ for bringing
Love
it
it.
up.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
awesome.
so then he's like, what's mine? And I was
Yeah, what is Tim's?
So I said driving.
Really?
He's like, no, I disagree. You're wrong. I'm like, well, I don't agree with you. He's like, well, no, I feel like an asshole. He's like, I went deep and you said driving.
Mm.
Because I was like, I wrote down for myself, like, bags, DJing, and parallel parking. I was going to keep it light for the back pocket.
Dang.
You had one that was deeper than that, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was a character.
Way deep,
character.
dude. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a time, coming to the end of this podcast, we've been crushing it
You've
as a
been
collective group
crushing
between the four of us.
it.
Like, we have had one hell of a podcast. We've been peppering you with questions. We want to know if you have any questions.
I totally
for
have
us.
questions for you guys.
You
I
do?
totally wrote a bunch of them down.
Ask every single one of them.
Okay, well,
This is your podcast, not mine.
okay, number one. You guys are young, which is probably a conversation you have a lot.
How young we are?
We're
do
20.
you?
What are we? 23.
Yes.
23. We're 23.
Do you feel young,
I don't
or
know.
do you kind of feel like, no, this is like we're doing the thing? Like,
I don't know what I am.
Yeah.
sure, okay, cool.
Yeah.
My
I don't
question
know
is,
anymore.
do you feel like you try to like compensate or like try to kind of gloss over your age? Because do you think people like maybe look down on you or feel like you're not like legit, the 48-year-olds?
That's a good question. I don't really think about it that much. More so gloss over it probably. I look at more so like what I need to do, like tangibly, like they can see that they're like, all right, these guys are legit. If I'm speaking to a 48-year-old, not.
So you do feel like you're sort of reaching for some credibility in
yes.
yourself.
Not because of age, because of like I just need to show them what this is.
Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a byproduct of like our efforts towards our own brand, that our age almost amplifies it.
Sure.
Where you can go to someone, and not that we do this, maybe we should, I don't know, but it's like, hey, these guys run 3 podcasts a week. They've been doing it for 2.5 years. They have over 200 podcasts. And oh, by the way, they're 23 years old.
Totally.
Then people are like, whoa, dude, these guys are so young, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, great. I don't really tell anybody that, nor do I operate as a young 23-year-old. But at the same time, I feel like if people were to recognize as older folk, maybe, that we're only 23, which I don't really know what that means in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
There are plenty, like Billie Eilish is what, 19?
Yeah. It's
You
nuts.
know, like there are plenty of
Kendall
people.
Jenner is.
There are plenty of people that are younger
21,
than
I
us. So
think.
I think you guys have a good perspective on age.
we try to.
I have a receding hairline and a full beard.
Yeah.
People are like, who is this guy?
And I
was
look like I'm
shocked
18.
when I found out that you were like 23. I was like,
Just-
wait,
Yeah, just about everyone says that.
hold up.
I act like I'm my age. I look exactly and act exactly like a 23-year-old, I feel like.
That's hilarious.
Maybe younger.
Okay, that's funny. Okay. Next question. You follow my story, so you probably know this question. What is the largest mammal you could knock out with a single punch?
I'm not that good at punching things. Zach, you go first.
Dude, is a horse a mammal?
Yo, you're punching a horses,
You
dude?
bet.
Jeez.
You bet.
Yo, I can't
Get
be.
ready, dude.
Obviously, we do not condone punching
Animal
other
violence,
things. Animal
no.
violence.
I'll fucking punch a horse so hard.
Dude,
You think you could knock a horse out?
you're canceled
Yo, we're gonna have to
again.
Cut this whole podcast.
God, Dak, why are you
You
putting
think
us
you could
down these
knock a
holes?
horse out, Declan?
I can do it.
Not only does he can't,
Have you
he wants
seen?
to.
You know what? I want you to go to the state fair. When are you going to the state fair?
Whenever.
You're 23. You don't have plans. I've got like the day planned. Like I've got like, okay, we're going in the morning, then they're taking the kids, and we're coming back in the evening. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, like I could be like at the bar in 10 minutes.
Like you guys might go tonight.
I might go tonight. Exactly.
Legitimately, like
Someone
riding
might
the
ask me
carousel.
about it.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd punch a horse.
Okay.
I'd knock out a horse. I'd knock out a horse so fast, dude.
I want everybody in the room to answer.
Yeah. I'm not like very violent of a person. I get angry very quickly, but I'm not like a physically violent person.
I'm not saying it has to be about violence.
I know exactly. So when I say this, I don't want people to be like, "Wow, that's like cute, cuddly
He's
creature."
so violent.
He's so violent. I'd say
what
like
cute cuddly creature are you knocking
I'd
out?
say like a koala.
That's easy.
Yeah, like a good
You took the easier out.
and it's just gone. Like it's just like
A horse.
sleeping.
My point here was go to the state fair, look at the horses, and I want you to look one in the eye.
There's no way Deck is doing that. He's not giving anyone a shimmy and going left, right, uppercut. Like that's not happening.
I don't have to shimmy or do anything. I just have to square up and punch it once. And knock it out.
Dude,
It would go.
chill out.
What do you mean? That's what you do.
You want to do this though, is what it seems like.
I'll do it.
Oh my god.
You really like set that up for us.
You're a knucklehead.
You asked me the question.
You're right.
Pass the mic to Ty.
Okay.
Ty.
All right, Ty.
At
What
first I
animal?
thought lion, but a lion's huge, so then I went bobcat. I'd probably be able to punch at a
You
bobcat.
went to the king of the jungle?
Yeah, but that was like my anchoring point. It's like negotiations with
Oh.
yourself, and then I went bobcat. I think I could punch at like a lynx maybe, just smaller cat.
Right.
but like bigger than a normal cat.
Here's the other thing though, like it has to be like standing still, right? Like a
I
horse.
know that was a big counter question
Well, that
when
might
I asked that.
that might be an asset for like a bobcat if it's
I got a
pouncing at
lot
me.
of-
I got some counter force.
Don't do that though.
Did you
Don't
guys
do
see
that
it on
motion.
my story? Did you see like me sharing about it?
I did not.
So
What would you do?
everybody was like a human. Like everybody just wanted.
Oh, that's smart.
Wow.
I didn't even think about
That's
that.
really
Somebody
smart.
said a child.
Oh.
It was actually a
Get that guy out of here.
It was a
Yeah.
pastor's wife.
Ooh.
Oh,
Get
well,
her
that
out
pastor's
of here.
wife's canceled from Instagram.
gone.
Let's
She
cancel
gone.
her.
You can't just cancel other people because you're afraid of being canceled.
No,
Why
it's
is that, a thing?
not
Is that
true.
like is that a culture thing? Was
yeah,
this like
cancel
canceling?
culture.
He's
Yeah.
been
Cancel
Cancel
culture.
he's been big on getting canceled like the last.
Is that like
No, it's-
is that something you guys say or is
No,
it like
no,
a
no.
Twitter thing I should start saying?
Very Twitter.
Yeah.
Very left wing. Like people
Well,
are.
Twitter is all left wing. So.
Yeah, but just like like there's things that shouldn't be canceled, and there's just people are hammering it with hashtag canceled, and
Hashtag canceled.
then they have bad ramifications from it.
See, I love Twitter because everything hits Twitter first, and I love seeing the trends trickle through the platforms. So we're gonna see in like 4.5 years on Facebook cancel culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
gonna
like
take that
we're already
long.
addressing it now, which is super cool because then we can like post that on Facebook and then.
I will
You'll
say
be ahead of
Black
it.
Twitter, you guys, is like that's where I like to hang out.
The underground
Really?
I don't
That's awesome.
participate. I don't participate in like
or like African
in like
American.
saying things. I just like Black
What-
Twitter stuff because it's the funniest stuff.
Interesting. What's like something going on in Black Twitter that we need to know about? Andrew, shut up.
I don't want
dude.
to sound stupid. We have a bunch of
Yo,
white
you're
people in
Shut
this
up,
room.
dude.
Cancel me then, dude.
Andrew's canceled. Answer the question.
Something going on Black Twitter is like they're saying a lot of like respect the drip. That's like a thing.
Oh.
That's like a thing that's going on. Do not use that as my clip.
I've seen Antonio Brown walk around Hard Knocks like, hey, you want the drip? And he's just like,
See, it's like a thing.
he's spraying
It's like
people
Gatorade.
with Gatorade powder.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Well, and like
going on
Lizzo is just ruling the world.
we need to have Lizzo on this podcast.
Yeah, can
we
we get
need
Lizzo
to
on?
have Lizzo
We
on.
need
She's coming in
Lizzo.
October. She's coming to the Armory in October.
Well, she
yeah,
lives here, no?
she lives here.
That'd be
She's just
incredible.
on tour a lot. In October, we need her here.
She was
Put it
at
out.
Red
It's sold
Rocks
out.
with Adrian.
You guys, it's sold
the
out.
Angie.
Did you see my tweet about this?
No.
So, it's the Lizzo thing is sold out,
Yep.
and so I was looking for tickets, and I didn't find them. But this is what I did find.
I just took a DNA test. Turns out.
This painting.
Oh wow, what is that?
It's a painting of Lizzo.
Hey,
Someone
Ty,
is
zoom
selling
in
for
on that.
$75.
For our listeners,
in Waterloo.
Viewers.
It's in Iowa.
Is that something you're interested in purchasing?
You just
Not
wanna
at
buy it?
all. I just was like, it
How
was
much
an
is- how much
internet
is it?
gem.
do we have the wall
I think it was
space in here?
$75.
That would get her here.
$75 in Waterloo,
We can take
Iowa.
the map off if we
No,
need
go
to.
right here.
Somebody said I showed them this picture and they said it looks like a melting toad,
Can we buy it?
which could be possibly the worst thing to say about another human being.
Yeah, no, you don't want to describe it as a melting toad.
I could-
That's just
I
a
could
piece of
beat up a
art.
toad.
Toad.
I could win against.
I don't know
a
if
toad.
a toad's a mammal. I don't think
You
so.
could beat a toad up for sure. I just
Reptiles
don't
are out
understand
of the
how you
running.
guys don't think I could beat up a horse.
You're done.
Here you go.
Next question, Molly.
Okay. Last question. Oh, well, I was going to bring up your Enneagram numbers. You guys chose not to.
I wish I did. I started it, and there was a lot of questions, and I failed to finish.
Are we like in a hurry?
No,
We're not in a hurry.
We're not in a hurry. Okay.
Ty's
I'm
gonna get-
trying to get to
Can
bed.
I
but-
just-
I'm not. The
Ties.
camera battery isn't doing
Oh,
great.
dude.
Okay.
Look, I'll be resourceful. We
Okay.
can keep going. We can figure it
I'm
out.
getting cozy.
Oh, okay.
All right. So here's
Gotta zoom out now.
here's my question, because I'm like I have like a good group of like close friends. They're all like women, mostly women, and I'm really curious about the dynamic of male friendships, specifically when it comes to vulnerability. I think it's different for you guys because you're not married. You guys are both single, right?
Yes.
So you're not like using some of your vulnerability tank on like a woman. So you're like
guys would never do that.
you kind of.
Yo,
I'm curious. I don't really have a direction. I just want you to speak on like, what are dude friendships like?
So you're speaking to kind of like a unique friend group.
I had a
Beca-
feeling.
Yeah, like we have there's like 5 or 6 of us that are like super tight. And we've been friends for now 6 years, from college onward, the start of college and onward. And I think like our friend group is one of the coolest things in how we handle each other.
When you
day
talk about your friend group, you're talking about the people that live in this house.
Some of them are, and some of them, we have 2 houses. There's 5 people that live in this house and 5 people that live in a house in St. Paul,
Oh, where in St. Paul?
right by St. Thomas. They still live in their college house.
West St. Paul.
But it's
Actually,
actually west of St. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool about
Valley.
our friend group is that we can tell each other anything, and they're never gonna like think differently upon them if they're bragging about something or if they have some like negative thing that just occurred with them. We want everyone in our group, and this is what I think this is what is the most awesome aspect of our friend group, is we want everyone to talk about what they're doing in the highest regard. Never try to devalue what you're saying because you think you're going to be on a pedestal. When you start talking to me like you're not doing anything, then I'm like, yo, what did you do today that made you feel good, or something like that. That's across all of our friends. I think that's one of the coolest things. Of some people don't love what they're doing right now, and I am an advocate of surrounding them with just like, hey, but yes, you deadlift 405 pounds a day because you love working out so much.
I did.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't know if that answers your question, but our friend group loves
Okay,
to...
what about new friends then?
We are kind of a clique.
I don't like that.
Well, I wouldn't say we're.
Like, what's
We have
it
like-
like?
we
What's
have
it like
inside
meeting
jokes.
like a new friend, like as a guy? Like for me, I met a girl last night at this party, and I literally just messaged her on Instagram, like, "Hey, you want to come to the bonfire on Saturday? Is it too soon?" She's like, "Not too soon at all. That sounds amazing." Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
isn't that great?
That's awesome.
I don't know if that's a thing for guys.
I would never do that. I don't think I would, no.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends on the situation. Like, if it was like a potluck or a bonfire or something, and it was the right kind of person that would be able to, or that I felt would be able to like immerse themselves in like this insane culture that we have, because it is like what Andrew was describing is like we hold each other to these really ridiculously high expectations, and it's not like take Ty for example. Like, if Ty was doing something that I didn't like, and it was just like so blatant about like that Ty was going down this path that I didn't enjoy, like it wouldn't be that I would be like, Ty, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like, what's wrong with you? I wouldn't put him in that box, but I would definitely say like I would question. I would just be like unpacking where his thoughts are. I would like be very intense and intentional about that, where you can't do that with like someone that is like showing up for the first time. But at the same time, like I would love for someone who is trying to just like, who's passionate about something, or like is trying to do something or whatever. I mean, there are tons and tons of people out there that are willing to do that come across our pathways all the time that would fit that mold. I'd love for them to come over and just hang out. I am willing to trust, again, I'm willing to trust people right away and put them in those situations more times than not than I am just like not trusting them and like kind of thinking less of them. And I think as maybe guys in general, and I definitely have found this situation more so like when we were in college, is like you run these situations all the time when like friends of friends come over and you're like, oh yeah, this is my buddy from high school. It's like, oh yeah, right on. Like I am just willing to ask those questions right away.
Yeah, you're intentional. You
And
guys
very
are more
intentional.
intentional than the average Joe.
Yeah, and sometimes that, to Andrew's point, just scares people off because they just don't like. It's maybe they just don't have intentions, or they're just maybe intimidated, or like they just.
Well, I don't want to be exposed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does that answer your question? Sort of.
Well, I'll be curious. I'll be curious to ask this question to more people that are at different phases of life.
Yeah.
Because I think it's obviously it's just so much different when you're a single dude, than when you're like trying to do friendships. Like, for me, it's like easy to make friends. Maybe not so easy for my husband because he's, it's like an adult friendship that outside of like a organization or a construct, like it's kind of hard to make friends, like
For sure.
just randomly. And so it's just been something I've been thinking about, just beginning to think about. So I don't have a lot to say about it, but I just kind of wanted to hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird for our situation is the fact that we have 5 people in this house and 5 people in that house, and we don't see them only on the weekends. So it's like, if some opportunity was to go hang out with someone new, I would probably pick hanging out with the people that I used to hang out with every single day, now I only see them once a week, and it's like or maybe once a month because of just things happening. I rather like take the time to go see them, and I guess that avoids. And the lucky part for us with Declan and I is we get to meet someone new 3 times a week.
Totally.
And that's a crazy aspect. Like, you're an awesome example. I met you at Coachella, and I spoke with you over a Zoom chat like once or twice because of Caleb.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm sitting in the background. But that's really the only interaction we've had. And you come in here and we've had an hour and a half conversation. And some people we've never had an interaction with. We've had one DM. And they walk in our door and we meet them and we have an hour and a half conversation with them. That's pretty cool.
This here couch. This is a high couch.
Yeah, we
raised it up on purpose.
Okay.
So you would be at the level of us or higher.
Yeah.
Because it used to ride very low and it'd be therapy kind of, like you'd be sitting horizontal, feet out. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like that.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it, y'all. You guys had to take your Enneagram test.
We should.
We do. Yeah, we
finish it.
should have.
You're going to have like a whole thing.
Ooh. I have an idea. Ty called us out
Yeah, thanks for responding to that, by the way.
not a while back, like 2 weeks ago, for when we pitch ideas, we rarely follow up with them with the guests. Like, we'll follow up with our own ideas, but not when we talk about them on the podcast. Here's an idea that I think would be very funny, and I think is very doable. I want Deck and I, if you allow,
I already know what you're going to say.
to babysit Timber and Titus.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
I think that would be the funniest experience.
He takes his glasses.
Deck is rattled now.
Excuse me?
I want to sacrifice Deck's Friday night.
Okay, yes.
I'll do it.
Number 1, the answer is yes. Number 2, this is hilarious because last night for the first time, Sam, who liked the BCT, babysat Timber and Titus. He had exactly 45 minutes between the time that we left and the time that his wife showed up to put them to bed. And I was like, Sam, like, it's a cakewalk. Like, my children are cherubs. They are naked baby angels. Like, it's going to be fine. And so they're potty training right now, which, like, we're doing the oh crap method, which means that they're naked all the time. And if they're naked, they will run to the bathroom. Like, they'll run to the stinking little toilet. But if they have anything on, they will think they have a diaper on. We get a text. We just arrived to this event. Get a text. Sam's like, poop emoji. Titus pooped in his little jammy bottoms.
Dude, that's when you take and you just chuck it across the street. And
I'll
you
throw
say
it out.
Never happened.
If you're wondering where Titus jammies are, they got recycled.
He's got nice jams. My kids are jammy snobs. They will not wear cotton.
Oh.
That first client that I told you about sold bamboo cotton pajamas. That's all we gave our kids for the first 3 years of their life. And now they put on cotton. They act like we're freaking terrorizing them.
Interesting.
They have to wear the $40 pajamas they have to wear. I'm not even kidding. It's a whole thing.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I'll
Anyway,
do it.
so you should babysit. And then what are you going to do? Where was this going? You're just going to babysit?
Oh, it's going to be...
We get content.
yeah, content. Ty's going to show up and content grab.
We'll record
You
podcasts
should.
with them.
You
Oh
guys,
my God,
you
that would be awesome.
Timber,
How old are your kids?
2, 3, sorry. 2 and 3.
They're like talkative.
Timber is, yeah. So like every night
cool.
somehow...
Perfect.
It's actually probably happening. It's actually probably happening right now. It's bedtime right now. Our bedtime song is the Star Spangled Banner.
Wow.
love
That's
that.
so patriotic.
I don't know how it happened. Like, we're just like putting them to bed one night and we're like, do you want to sing like, our family song? We have like a family song. No. Do you want to sing like this song? No. Do you want to sing the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
So
Love
now
that.
they like know it and we have to sing it. And do you know, like, when you just want your kid to go to bed, the Star Spangled Banner gets real long.
Yeah, that's a long song.
It's a whole
And you sing
Yeah.
it too. Like
we
sing it loud
freaking
and
sing it.
proud.
So like if we
Yeah.
have guests downstairs, which is often, they definitely hear.
Oh, you gotta sing it even
They hear-
louder.
for
Yeah.
the land of the free. Timber Tires like, yeah.
You poke your head out.
Woo,
Will
sweet.
everybody please rise?
Like, and
Yeah.
of the, and then Titus takes his neck out. Brave. So cute.
USA, USA. Yeah,
We could implement that.
we can, and we will. That is like the biggest risk with having the Backpocket babysit your kids. And I feel like there's a lot of different things like your kids are gonna love to do.
After they engage with us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should definitely babysit. This just 100% should happen.
Okay, well, I'll write it down.
It can be like
We'll follow up.
it'll be like a daytime thing. Like, you guys don't have
Okay.
to do bedtime.
Okay, yeah, because
Because after they go to sleep, what do? We watch your house?
have you ever babysat
Yeah.
before?
Yes.
Dude, getting kids to go to bed that aren't your kids are like, it is the most impossible thing. Of
Oh,
all.
no, not my children.
You just pick them up
Not
by
my
the
children.
belly. You slam them into
That's
the
content.
bed. That's content.
He's canceled.
Just freaking.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Andrew
got
just
canceled?
got canceled from.
But they got into the
parenthood.
bed. You know,
Our
it's into
children
the pillows.
literally sleep so well.
Really?
They nap 3 hours a day and they sleep 12 hours at night.
Damn.
They go to bed.
You got some growing boys.
I sleep trained. I was like, y'all are gonna sleep.
How'd you figure out how to sleep train them?
It's like a whole thing.
Really?
Like, you'll get haters.
Haters.
Has the
Crying was involved.
older?
Crying? You made your kids cry before they went to
Oh,
bed?
you gotta make them cry. You gotta make them work.
They cried for 2 days, and then they literally, now it's been 3.5 years, and they sleep 12 hours at night. So the 2 days of crying for healthy sleep habits for the rest of their life was worth it.
Okay.
You need to start having. So Timber's the older one.
Yep.
And Titus the younger one. Timber needs to start carrying Titus to bed and start training.
So we
him
have a spiral
young.
staircase.
Yes. And
Oh,
he's got to throw him over the fireman's carry. You learn young.
I will say,
That's how Patrick carried me
I
up.
think Titus would be more likely to carry Timber.
Whoa.
Titus has got that.
Titus is a brute.
Yeah, he's got that young man
Really?
strength.
Yeah, he's like brute. Like, he's just got this belly that he's really proud of. And we've trained him now because every time he like lifts up his shirt, we're like, oh, and he's just like so proud of his little
Gut.
His little tummy.
It's so cute, little tum tum.
Oh,
Nice.
that's so cute.
Anytime he sees lotion, he like pats his tum tum like he wants us to put lotion on his belly. It's so
Ooh.
freaking
Wow.
cute.
Wow.
Titus sounds like he's gonna be like a WWE wrestler or something.
I could see it.
Wrestling.
Whatever it is, dude.
Yeah.
Who knows? But final question, right?
Yeah, we'll bring it to the final question.
Final question, Molly. You've been great. Phenomenal podcast thus far. What did you learn today from the time you woke up to the time we're recording now?
Oh, all day.
All day.
I thought it was just gonna be about this podcast.
It
I mean, you can do that
That's part
too.
of the day.
I mean, that's also fine.
You're right.
That falls
But
within
I
the
had,
confines
like-
of the question.
I had a good day today, so I feel like I should take that into consideration.
Okay.
I feel like today I learned that I'm in this like season of like learning like a new season of independence. Like not depending on my like situationally, like how I show up emotionally. Like I am in control of that no matter like how anybody else around me feels. So that I think I really internalized that today, which is kind of vague, but it's just the truth.
Backpocket's naturally vague. We get pushed under a rock all the time. Hey, vague boys.
Yeah. Wait. Can you say what you said one more time?
What I learned?
Yes. I just want you to repeat it just so I can internalize it.
I learned that I need to, that situationally, okay, my situation shouldn't depend on how I show up emotionally.
Okay.
Like who I am, how I'm
Yes.
doing. I need to figure out how to rise above that, especially when it comes to other people's emotions. They can't control how I complete the day, serve my clients, show up here.
Yes. So like, control the controllables.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that a
and I think
lot.
especially like in marriage, there's a lot of like you're learning to like rely on each other, and that can get really muddled when it comes to like emotions. Like if like if one half of you is like having a rough day, it can be hard to be okay emotionally like on my end or on his end if I'm, you know what I mean, to carry that on. So I'm learning this new level of like showing up for people in my life where I need to, but also I am my own person and I can carry on even if other people like are having a hard time and they need to do their own thing.
Yes. That's not vague at all. I love that. That's amazing. Cuz that is the root at being of service to others, right? I don't want to show up as, this negative Nancy person and associate myself with someone who's negative because I'm all down on myself. I want to show up and be around the person who's super positive, and that's Molly Hale.
There it is. Thanks, guys.
And that's our time on the Back Pocket. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. What do I say? Am I supposed to say something? You're looking at me like
Plug anything that you want real quick.
What? It's just real quick. You have
Molly R. Hale, MOLLYRHALE.
Bam.
Well, I've been hanging on the west coast of my heart, right where I meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sideways with those eyes.